Hey, this is Kamori, and today we're going to be making the dress for Mary from the video game Eve. And this is going to involve a lot of pattern mashing, but we're going to start with New Look 6299. And for the pattern pieces, we're going to be cutting the pieces for view A. So we're going to be cutting out the pattern pieces for the front, the sides of the front, the back, and then the sides of the back. And then we're going to be adding in the godets from view B. We're going to start by cutting out those pieces out of the fabric, and then we're going to zigzag around the edges to keep them from fraying. I'm using a printed green cotton because of the floral motif, and I just wanted to add a little bit of extra depth to Mary's dress. I started with the back portion of the dress first by sewing the two center back pieces together, pressing them open, and then installing the zipper. Next, attach your side back pieces and insert the godets according to the pattern instructions. Do the same thing for the front of the dress. Now, putting right sides together, you're going to sew the front and back pieces together along the top and along the sides. Now we're going to hem the bottom of the skirt. I used a rolled hem because that's my preference. And that way there are no raw edges in the hem for them to fray. Next, sew white lace to the bottom hem of the dress. For the collar, I modified the collar piece so that it has a rounded edge, and I just took off the button in the back. So you're going to cut 4 of these out of white fabric. I'm using white cotton, and then you're going to cut 2 of them out of interfacing. Next, pin the interfacing to one of the cotton collar pieces, and then you're going to just zigzag around the edge, and when you're zigzagging it'll attach the 2 pieces together, and then the plain cotton pieces you're also going to zigzag around the edge to keep it from fraying. Now that the edges have been zigzagged, you're going to put right sides together, so it's basically going to be a sandwich of interfacing, cotton, and then more cotton. Then pin it together, and you're going to sew along the outer edge, but you're going to leave this part open. After sewing along the outer edge, clip your corners and curves, and then turn it right side out and press. Next, add your lace around the edges of the collar pieces. Then sew the collar pieces onto the neckline of the dress. Next, make the facing according to the directions included with the pattern. Then attach the facing to the base of the dress. For the top half of the sleeve, you're going to need a puffed sleeve pattern. So I used the sleeve puff from Simplicity 1093, and then cut 2 of them out of my fabric. Next, you're going to zigzag along the edge to keep the edges from fraying. And then you're going to fold the sleeve so that the right sides are together and sew along here. For the straight part of the sleeve, you're going to need either a half sleeve pattern or take a sleeve pattern that you like and cut off the top. I'm using the Cosmode 38 sleeve pattern because I already had that available, but you can really use whatever you want. So you're going to do the same thing, and you're going to zigzag around the edges, and you are going to fold this part of the sleeve so that the right sides are together, and then sew along the side. Now we're going to make the cuffs for Mary's dress. I'm using the Cosmode 38 cuff pattern, but you can use whatever cuff pattern you want, or you can just kind of use your sleeve pattern and then cut a piece that matches like that and use that for your cuff pattern. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our cuff and we're going to cut 4 of them out of white fabric. I'm using white cotton. And then kind of like what we did for the collar, we're going to take 2 of the white pieces, lay them on some interfacing, and then cut around. So now we have an interfaced cuff for each sleeve. Now what we're going to do is we're going to zigzag around the edge to keep it from fraying and to attach the interfacing to the cotton. Once all of your cuff pieces, interfaced and uninterfaced, have been zigzagged, fold them in half and sew them together along the side. Then press your seam open and position your cuff pieces so that right sides are together, and then you're going to sew them together along the widest edge. Then turn the cuff right side out and sew your lace along the widest edge. Now you're going to hand sew 2 gold buttons onto the cuff. I'm using these antiqued gold rose buttons that I got from Joann's because they fit the rose theme in the game. Next you're going to insert the cuff in the bottom of the sleeve and you're going to sew around the handhole. Then fold the cuff right side out so that your sleeve looks like this. Next we're going to gather along the top of the sleeve puff and sew it to the armhole of the dress. The next step is to gather the bottom of the sleeve puff and attach the rest of the sleeve. And with that, the dress is done. To make Mary's necktie, I started by cutting out a rectangle of blue fabric. We're going to zigzag around the edges and then fold it in half and sew along the bottom edge. Then turn right sides together, fold it in half, and sew along the top. Now we're going to do the exact same thing with 2 more rectangles, one for the tie and one for the knot. For the tie piece, fold the edges in on themselves and then sew them down on each end. And then for the knot piece, you're just going to fold over the edge and sew them down. Now we're going to take the large rectangle, place it so that the seam is in the center. Take the tie piece, fold the large part over, and then take the knot piece and wrap it around, and then hand sew it together in the back. Now we're going to sew the tie to the neck of the dress on either side. That way, when we put the collar down, you only see the bow part. And with that, the dress is done. If you'd like to see more cosplay tutorials, please subscribe. And if you have any suggestions for any characters you'd like to see a video made for, please comment below.